Good morning to each of you. Thank you again for joining us today. I want us to get right into our devotion time together. We've been looking all this week at the Master of Miracles, and I told you yesterday we were going to be in Mark chapter 5 today, and recorded in this chapter are three of Jesus' greatest miracles. In fact, they are probably three of His most well-known miracles. You see, this chapter deals with three different individuals and the pain that they were encountering. Our time will not allow us to read the entire chapter, but I want us to examine the highlights of each case and relate the pain that they're experiencing to the pain many are finding themselves in today. The public pain of Legion, the private pain of the woman with the issue of blood, and then the parental pain of Jairus. I want you to see Jesus today as the great pain reliever. First of all, we see a man who meets Jesus, and the Bible tells us that he has an unclean spirit. As I read this, there are two words that define him: cemeteries and chains. For you see, he dwelt among the dead, and there was no man-made device that could help him. The Bible tells us he was naked and in fact inflicting torment on himself. He could not deal with the private pain that he held inside. Maybe you're watching and nobody knows the torment that's going on inside of you. Seems like so many people today just want to hold it in. Can I tell you today, you're looking for answers in every place possible. But your answer today is not an appeal, or a psychiatrist, or a priest, or even a program. Your answer today is in Jesus. For you see, Jesus spoke to this man by the name of Legion, and He spoke to the demons, and they entered a herd of pigs. And when the people came to investigate, they witnessed the miracle. I want to read what happened when they came and the result of the touch of Jesus in verse 15. Then they came to Jesus and saw the one who had been demon-possessed and had the legion, sitting, clothed, and in his right mind. You see, Jesus changed him. He was sitting. No more running, no more crying, no more cutting himself. Secondly, he was clothed by Jesus. He was no longer naked. And then thirdly, Jesus calmed him. For the Scripture tells us he was in his right mind. There was perfect peace. He changed him spiritually, He changed him physically, and He changed him mentally. Secondly, in this chapter was the public pain of the woman with the issue of blood. Scripture tells us that she suffered for 12 years. There was the emotional anguish. It says that she spent all that she had. There was the financial anguish. She is seen as an outcast and considered unclean. That's the social and religious anguish. And then finally, she sought all remedies of doctors in that land. There was the physical anguish. She was under such a burden and finds no help from anyone. Can I ask you today, do you feel like everyone has turned their back on you? Are you experiencing public pain and you don't think that you can depend upon anyone? It seems like everybody is saying things about you and telling you that there's no hope for you. Then you can find an answer today in this passage of Scripture. Because the key thing here is she heard about Jesus. She was determined to press her way through. She did not let her condition stop her. She did not let the crowd stop her. In fact, the Scripture, if we had time to read it today, you would see that she came behind Him. Do you feel like you're behind everybody today and everybody is just running off and leaving you? She said, if I can just touch His clothes, then I know I will be made whole. And she came in and she touched Him. And listen in verse 29 to the result. Immediately the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. Jesus knew this touch was different. For you see, touching Jesus is really all that matters. And you can touch Him today for the public pain you may be facing. Very quickly, the last one is parental pain. You know, it's one thing when we suffer, but it's even greater when our children suffer. And this broken-hearted father named Jairus needs help, and he turns to Jesus. We see his faith. For you see, faith that can't be tested is a faith that can't be trusted. What is your situation today? Do you feel the pain of something that your child is going through? You know, I've witnessed parental pain. There's a family in our church, and I've watched a mother in our church that's struggling with her 4-year-old son that is in a medical center right now. And there's really nothing that they can do for this disease, and I've watched the pain of this lady. Can I tell you, before Jesus could get to the house, the girl has died. Can you imagine the parental pain that Jairus must have felt at that moment? Jesus gets to that house and He removes all doubt from the house. He takes the girl by the hand and He says, "Little girl, arise." Listen to what happened in verse 42. Immediately the girl arose and walked, for she was 12 years of age, and they were overcome with great amazement. I don't know what parental pain you may be facing today, and your heart may be breaking, but I came to tell you, put your child in His hand today, because He can certainly take care of the situation. Yesterday we saw in the storm on the sea, Jesus was the master of the deep. Today we've seen Him as the master of the demonic, the master of disease, and He's still the master of death. The God we serve will demonstrate His power over all situations, problems, difficulties, and dangers that may be coming to you. It doesn't matter if the pain you face today is private, public, or parental. He's the one you can go to, and He's still the great pain reliever. It's been a joy to be with you today. Look forward to being with you again tomorrow. Until then, have a blessed day.